This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we discuss everything there is to know in the world of sports. As always, I'm Ben.
And I am Alex.
And we are back yet again to record our second episode of the day. Going to be talking a number of things. Of course, we're going to have trending to end the show. Going to be talking about NFL players either out with injuries or out because they're doing things they're not supposed to.
Yes.
As well as an update on Alex Rodriguez playing his last game Friday night, and sort of what has gone on since Sunday. Joe Girardi, Yankees manager, not necessarily sticking to his word, and all the other events that have gone on with A-Rod. They are concluding a series in Boston. Some of the fans have not been the nicest to him, giving him some boo birds last night as he appeared as a pinch hitter. But always, we're not going to jump into any segment without listening to Alex's fun fact of the day.
Thanks. I can't wait. This one's right from the old noggin.
As opposed to looking it up?
Sometimes I do look up fun sports ones, but the football ones are usually from my noggin.
Okay, so go ahead.
So, do you know who the first team ever to use or to have like logos, insignias on the side of their helmets were?
No.
The first professional football team.
I'm going to guess it's not the Browns.
They still haven't shown that party yet.
Exactly, so.
It would be the Los Angeles Rams. In 1950, they painted yellow horns on their blue leather helmets.
On the blue leather
They still had
helmets.
leather at this time, and they painted horns, yellow horns, on their blue helmets.
If anything, they should go back to the leather helmet. You won't have concussions because people won't be leading in with their heads.
Well, that remains to be seen for sure.
I mean, that'll never happen. But
in 1905, 18 men died in 1 year of football, and it led for the President Theodore Roosevelt to institute some safety measures, which the leather helmet was one. So,
not much, but
not much help, but it
something is better than nothing.
That is true. Yeah, I'll give you that. So, I mean, you're right.
Anyways, let's jump into our first segment.
Let's jump right in, and it's going to be Alex Rodriguez.
Yes, it is.
Let's get going on
Alex Rodriguez had quite the
pinch hitting appearance.
Last few days recently has A-Rod. So he has his press conference with the Yankees Sunday morning announcing he will be retiring effective Friday. Going to be his last game. They're going to play him on Friday. Joe Girardi had mentioned that he would probably play A-Rod leading up to Friday's game. The whole series in Boston, A-Rod had not made an appearance until he came on as a pinch hitter last night. He flew out, so he did not get a hit.
No, he did not.
The Red Sox fans were chanting, "We want A-Rod, we want A-Rod."
And you're like, oh, this is weird. Like, why do these fans want A-Rod? Well, they told you why right away.
They told us why. As soon as he got up, they started booing him.
They booed him into oblivion.
So they wanted him to get out there so they could boo him. So a little irony there. It's almost like they played A-Rod and the Yankees. But anyway, so the big headline here is what Yankees manager Joe Girardi was saying. He was saying that he would probably play A-Rod leading up to Friday's, sort of farewell game, that he would maybe play him. He hadn't played him at all. Gave him a pinch hit last night. He went on to say, basically I'm paraphrasing this, but he went on to say that it's my job to put the best team out there to try and win games, to do everything I can to make sure the Yankees are a winning team. And Alex Rodriguez is basically not involved in that because I don't think he's one of the best players out there right now. He hasn't played in over a month, so he's not playing him. But then why even give him his 1 day on Friday? You know what I'm saying, Alex? Mm-hmm. It's almost like Brian Cashman, the Yankees manager, and Hal Steinbrenner basically took Girardi into their office and say, okay, you're going to make him play one game, whether you like it or not, and then we're finally done with him. and then you're going to say that he's going to play, and then you're going to play him, and he's kind of going away from that. So it's like, I don't really understand where they're coming from, because the Yankees at the trade deadline got rid of Chapman, they got rid of Beltran, they got rid of Andrew Miller. So they're basically saying, okay, we're not a winning team right now. We're not going to compete right now. But now, all of a sudden, we're only 4.5 games out of the wild card, so we're going to compete this week. We announced A-Rod's going to play, but we're not playing him. So it's like, he's not really sticking to his word. It's too wishy-washy. Like, I don't really get where this is coming from.
Well, at the same time, A-Rod's a DH. I mean,
yeah,
you choose when you want to DH and who you're going to DH, and a lot of times that happens with, has to do with matchups and, and the ways the players hit certain pitchers and lefty-righty, and that's just a fact. A-Rod's not producing this year, and yeah, maybe he started somebody at third base that's not batting very well, but that's your fielder. That's not your DH. You know what I mean?
And A-Rod's only played 2 games in the field in the past 3 seasons, so he is just a DH now.
Exactly.
So, I mean, but you do have that void filled with Carlos Beltran being gone now. So it's like you could obviously put A-Rod in there. He's 4 home runs away from 700. You could probably sell some tickets putting him in there. Why not give it a go and put him in there instead of others?
It leads me to think that something's going on behind the scenes there, because at the very same time, this could have waited till the end of the year. So...
Oh, the retirement?
In general, yeah. So it leads me
exactly.
to believe that maybe they're just not getting along anymore.
Why have him retire a month and a half of the season to still play? Why not have it finished out? And I mean, he's still going to stay on. He is still a, whatever you want to call it, the special advisor, whatever role that really insists of. But I mean, I just don't understand. Like, Joe Girardi, you need to stick to your word, man. You're going back and forth. You're talking about how you're a selling team and how you're not competing this year. Then all of a sudden you have a little bit of success. You find your way sort of in a battle, and now it's all about what you're doing as the best job. I think there's definitely things we don't know about, as you just mentioned. The Yankees are kind of sort of giving, not giving A-Rod like a farewell tour, which they did to Derek Jeter last year. And I realize Derek Jeter, a legend of the game, a Yankees legend, he's earned that farewell tour. But if Joe Girardi's all about making sure he does what's best for the team, why did he play Derek Jeter last year when there were other options that were better than Jeter?
I just think that there has to be something going. There has to be something.
Of course there is.
You know what I mean?
I just don't really understand it.
I don't understand it either, and I don't think we ever will until something comes out like saying, like, yeah, I didn't want to play him because I didn't want to play. Who knows? But I mean, I honestly don't really care either way. I thought A-Rod should have retired after last season. So,
and he didn't do too bad last season. He had a pretty solid year last year. He didn't play too terrible. I feel like this year has really been that drop off. Joe Girardi's basically, made it clear that he doesn't think A-Rod is capable of playing anymore. So I mean, I just don't really understand, because the Yankees are not really doing anything with him. They're having to pay that roster. That roster slot, they're having to pay him to that contract. They might as well put him out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I think there's something going on. At the same time, he's also a DH, so I guess we'll never really know in that sense. You don't look at the players the same way in terms of, how they're going to, set up their lineups and such.
Like for example, the Yankees started Aaron Hicks last night.
Yeah, the third baseman you were saying.
He's hitting 192.
He's third baseman though,
but
not a DH.
But
and who else do they have to start?
You could switch that around there.
But who else do they have to start?
A-Rod
at third base.
No, but you could put a DH in for A-Rod. You could make A-Rod a DH.
That's what I'm saying. Make A-Rod DH. Who's gonna play third base?
You can always switch things around.
Think of it this way: when Matt Duffy was on the Giants and he was healthy last year, he was the only third baseman on the roster.
Right.
Sometimes when you carry that many pitchers or certain position players, outfielders like the Giants often do, that happens. If this guy is the only third baseman on the roster, then I understand that 100%. Who else are you going to play at third base?
It's a lot different with
he
the
could be a horrible
League.
Hitter and maybe a really good third baseman.
It's a lot different with the National League, though.
I just purely mean in that I'm not saying specific examples. I'm just saying they could maybe only have him as their third baseman, and at the end of the day, I'd rather have somebody who's going to defensively play third base well than maybe struggle at the bat, at the plate a little bit more.
I see what you're saying, but I mean, at the end of the day,
you have 9 guys with the opportunity to hit 3 times an inning. One guy, 3 times an inning. That doesn't, if you play somebody who's crap at third base, that's, the likelihood of something going wrong rather than maybe him just not producing in the batter's box with somebody else doing so is a lot greater. So,
I mean, and to be honest with you, I don't think this is going to be the last we see of A-Rod.
Playing?
Yes.
I don't see somebody
I see someone signing him next year.
Mm-mm.
He's 4 home runs away from 700. Somebody's going to sign him to get butts in the seats.
I certainly hope not.
And have him hit four home runs.
I don't want to see him hit 4 home runs,
happen.
honestly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's definitely a tainted career, A-Rod. Probably one of the most prolific of all the people in the steroid era. You think of Bonds, McGuire, Sosa,
Well, see, there's
Canseco.
one thing different about all those players. Bonds was accused, but nothing ever came of it. McGuire, in a sense, A-Rod went through trial after trial and was kind of a complete ass throughout the entire process, which he came out this week and said. He realizes he was such during the process. He alienated a lot of people, and that's what I feel like most people don't appreciate about him. You have guys that break
everything.
PED, things every year. D. Gordon just came back from a suspension of PED violation, and they welcome him back like, their star players back. People don't care the same way they normally would when it's a star, so that wouldn't matter for A-Rod, but it's because of the way he handled it, and he made it kind of a joke, and that's why a lot of people don't like him. So
yeah,
I honestly
it's definitely
don't care
because of
if
the
he
way.
comes back
It's
either way.
definitely because of the way it was handled.
Yeah.
and we all know that.
Or like Roger Clemens, straight up just lied.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
and then he even accused his wife, threw her under the bus. So, because that came out with the report. So
exactly. So I mean, you look at it that way. I mean, I honestly don't care if he comes back or plays another inning, another at bat. Don't care.
I'm telling you, man, I would not be shocked if
I
we
wouldn't
don't see
be
the last of A-Rod.
In that sense, you get a team that wants to sell tickets, but that's also a move like a AAA team would make, and there's no reason for him to go to a AAA team.
No, he would be coming back in the majors.
Exactly.
I say
those home
Miami.
runs wouldn't count.
I say Miami Marlins.
They
Need to sell tickets. They're in a really tough spot. I swear they're in the heart of Cuba, in where that stadium is located.
Cuba's not even on the United States continental map.
But that's what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Is like you
I know
can't sell tickets there. It's in a bad part of the neighborhood.
They're selling solid tickets this year because of Ichiro.
Right, but this is going to do the same thing with A-Rod if they bring him in.
But I think a lot
witness history.
Yeah, but so many. See, the thing with me is, Yankee fans are like the only fans, and not even now, as many of them, that don't hate A-Rod. He's like it's like the.
It's not necessarily a Yankee fan. It's just a baseball fan in general.
In general, I'm saying it's a universal thing where it's like the villains of the NFL. You love them if they're on your team, and every other team hates them. Richard Sherman. Most people don't like Richard Sherman, but if they're a Seahawks fan, they love him. For a long time, that was the excuse for Yankee fans. Yankee fans loved A-Rod, but most people did not care for him at all.
Right.
So you're going to bring him to another team where I'm sure fans aren't going to like him. It's the whole thing with Michael Vick last year and the outrage that the Steelers signed him years after his dogfighting scandal, which I'm not saying is right, but he still gets that. You're still going to get that wherever you go. So I'm sure there's still going to be backlash for that, and that's really going to. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, but there's going to have to be the whole weighing your options thing then.
Yeah, of course there is. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But tomorrow, his last game predictions. Think he gets a hit at least?
No.
Think he goes 0 for 3, 0 for 4?
I'll say
5?
I'll say one hit.
I'll give him one hit.
I'll give him a lazy single. I don't see it. What how many? Watch him. He's 4 down. Go 4.
Watch him go. Watch him hit 4 home runs.
Home runs.
Wouldn't that be crazy? That'd be the biggest story within the last, I'd say, at least month or two. That'd be unbelievable.
Honestly, I'm not saying this in a bad way. That's the kind of thing where you just walk him. You give up 1 home run. Just you give him 2, give up 3. He's going for 4. Walk him.
That'd be like the most I don't know how to put it. Like the most
unlikely story.
Like slap in the face move.
Would be intense. I don't see. Yeah, I see him getting maybe a single.
I'll give him 1 hit, but
yeah.
I mean, who knows? So.
All right.
Anyways.
Well, we're going to take our first break, and we're going to move into NFL player news, and then we're going to hit what's trending, and then we're going to hit the road. So you guys can just wait there, and we'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts 6-Shooter Podcast. I'm sorry,
The
sports
sports
podcast. I guess that's what it is.
Got a little too carried away there, but that's okay.
6 shooters every day. All right, so we're going to get into NFL news and pretty much some players that are notably either missing time because of injuries or doing what they're not supposed to do. We only have one of those, so I'm going to start with that one, and that is Lane Johnson facing a 10-game suspension for violation of the performance-enhancing drug stipulation in the NFL. He was also previously suspended 4 games for a PED violation back in 2014. Offensive lineman for the Eagles, if I forgot to mention that. This is pretty big. He's a versatile offensive lineman for them, but this is not good news.
Yeah, former first-round pick out of Oklahoma. He's had a good season. They just signed him in the offseason to a $63 million contract over 6 years, but because of the suspension, that could void out his guaranteed money, Alex. So this is not only affecting his time on the football field, but affecting his pocketbook as well.
I mean, good. In my opinion, good. Because
he doesn't, you shouldn't be deserving of that if you're going to blatantly break the rules. So.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, this is the second time he's done it, and of course, I can't sit here and call him, I can't sit here and chastise him and then not do the same thing for Le'Veon Bell or Martavis Bryant, so I'm not going to, dog on him the same way. Like, I understand both those guys did things that aren't supposed to be done. Who knows, the reasoning behind this, so on and so forth. So it's a shame to see for a promising young right tackle. The Eagles were ranked number 2 in the NFL last year for plays run on the outside shoulder of the right tackle.
And they definitely need that help on the offensive line, coming in with a new system. Doug Peterson coming in as the head coach, replacing Chip Kelly. Mm-hmm. So they could definitely use his versatility, his strength, and he's a good player. And without him for 10 games, he's missing more than half the season. So it's going to be a big loss not only for the Eagles, but for his pocketbook. As I mentioned, he was set to reward or get almost $35.5 million in guarantees. He can still reach that with the salary of his contract, but who knows with how long he'll be out and if the Eagles even want to keep him still.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that works out because, big money for somebody who's going to miss more than half the season. All right, moving on to injuries, and that is going to start with Reggie Ragland. Unfortunately, rookie Reggie Ragland, for a second-round pick of the Buffalo Bills, has an ACL injury and is expected to miss the entire 2016 season. He had some injury concerns when it related to his knees coming into this draft.
He had a heart condition as well. Oversized heart, which of course is, you think about a great heart, a big heart, that's a good thing, but it's definitely not good for your health. So
yeah, unfortunately, it looks like he tore his ACL. He's already had surgery on it this week. More than likely, I would say
he's out for the year. There's no way. There's no way he'll be healthy.
Year.
So again, kind of like Dante Fowler Jr. of the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, he's going to be forced to miss his whole entire rookie season. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate for Ragland. He came out, of college Alabama, a great run-stopping middle linebacker. Kind of struggled in coverage, but definitely a guy who I thought could come in with his physicality and a team like the Bills, a really physical defense led by Rex Ryan. Of course, he has his history with the Ravens and the Jets. So, I mean, I feel like he could have been a great player for them, or at least a solid player, but now we'll have to wait and see what he can do for next year because he won't play this year.
Yeah, excuse me. And in reaction to the injury, the Saints. I was looking at Rex Ryan and Rob Ryan having moved over from the Saints. The Bills did sign linebackers Brandon Spikes and David Hawthorne, a pair of veterans, to hopefully help fill the gap left by Ragland's injury. Moving on to another injury, and that is Stevie Johnson, former 49er, former Bill, as a matter of fact. As we talk about the Bills, current Charger wide receiver is out for the year as well. He had surgery to repair a torn meniscus and prevent him from playing at all this year, which is a downside. He signed a 2-year deal, I think. The year before last, he was due about $3.5 million this year. But at 30 years old, I don't even know if he's going to be returning to the team next year.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Last year, he had a solid season as a number 3 receiver, 45 receptions, almost 500 yards, and 3 scores. He is behind Keenan Allen, who's obviously the go-to threat for the Chargers, a great player.
But was also hurt.
Who's coming off an injury, as I was going to say. So because of Johnson tearing his meniscus and being out for the whole year, the Chargers have signed veteran wide receiver James Jones, formerly of the Packers, the Giants, the Raiders, as well as second-year pro Tyrell Williams. He's been getting more work with the starters since Johnson has been out.
Yeah, and they did get Travis Benjamin, formerly of the Browns, in the offseason as well.
Yeah, a really vertical threat, a fast, deep receiver. Benjamin can maybe do some work in the return game as well if they choose to.
Definitely, and it'll allow Keenan Allen maybe to move and take some slot roles there for the fact that Stevie's gone.
And I think that's a good move for Keenan Allen. He might be able to get matched up on some safeties, some linebackers.
Exactly.
And he's like a smaller, quicker guy, so he can maybe do some work in the middle of the field as opposed to working on the outside. So
yeah. And then the last bit of news here before we take our last break and go into what's trending is going to be somebody close to my heart here, and that is Ladarius Green, newly signed Steelers tight end. Big gem for them in the offseason, a 4-year, $20 million contract. It was rumored he had surgery on his ankle, but he has yet to practice fully in pads or anything like that. I doubt. Obviously, he's not going to play this Friday. They have yet to see them in the offense at all, and it was rumored to have to do with his injury in his ankle, but instead is actually an issue with reoccurring headaches.
Kind of like Percy Harvin. Percy Harvin had those migraine issues.
Kind of like Terrell Davis. He complained of headaches and suffering 2 concussions in 2 weeks last September, according to the San Diego Union Tribune. Those were his second and third concussions in less than 1 calendar year. So he's been having headache issues, unfortunately, keeping him from playing, which is honestly that's
to go along with the ankle, So
yeah, apparently the ankle is pretty solid and ready to go. It's just the headaches.
That's not good, especially for a guy who is coming in from a different team. He has to learn their system, get accustomed to playing with a new quarterback, new receivers, kind of what they sort of feel is, what they like. So that's definitely a big adjustment. And not being able to get on the field, first of all, and now you have the migraine issues. That's a big thing to overcome.
Yeah, it's a shame to see. I'm as a fan obviously hoping he gets healthy. It's somebody who the Steelers could really use. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, Heath Miller just retired, so they do have that void at the tight end position.
Well, they do have the outlaw Jesse James there, 2nd-year player, 6'6".
Yeah, but I would imagine the Steelers bring in Green to be that starter.
I'm just saying they have some young players that hopefully could fill that void. So okay, we're gonna take our last break here. We're gonna get into the thing I know you're all waiting for. You only listen to these episodes for it because it's so amazing, and that is
what's trending.
Oh, you got there before me.
Just a little bit.
All right. Well, we're gonna take it. We're going to break it, and we're going to hit our last commercial, and we'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Going to move into our ever so popular What's Trending.
What time it is?
That's what time it is. It's
all
What's
right.
Trending time.
I like it. Let's get it and let's get out of here. So you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first this time. Okay. So sort of my big one is reports are that we know who the halftime show, we know who's going to perform the halftime show at Super Bowl 51. Reports.
Yeah?
Any guesses? You don't know? Take a guess.
Taylor Swift.
No, but I don't know if you're kind of close.
I always love finding out who's doing the halftime show. I didn't even realize the news came out.
It's just reports right now.
Man or woman?
It's a female.
Aretha Franklin. I don't know. Who is it?
Adele.
Okay, so the issue I've had with the halftime shows the last few years is not issues like I'm mad or anything. Like, I understand. Like, I'm a huge music person. You know that I went to college for music, all that good stuff. I feel like they're almost looking more so for notoriety and popularity than they are for anything that relates to the eyes of football fans. Now, that's not a bad thing because the Super Bowl is arguably the most watched thing every year. So, I mean, they're obviously going for the fact that so many people, and it brings in other fans, like, maybe girlfriends, so on and so forth, like when Beyonce was performing, for example. But, yeah, that's Adele. I would watch that. I love Adele.
I mean, I love Adele, but I don't know if I love her for the Super Bowl, because when I think of the Super Bowl, I think of a performance. I think of moving around. I think of up-tempo, dancing. I think of a performance, not necessarily, just singing. I could see her doing the national anthem.
The one that last
but
one
not necessarily the halftime performance. I don't think she's going to be able to move around kind of like Beyonce or, Bruno Mars a couple of years ago in New York.
Or last year. The last one I was really excited for was The Who back in 2009 between the Saints and the Colts. That was the last one I was super psyched for.
Yeah, so reports are that Adele is set to be the halftime guest at Super Bowl 51.
All right. Well, keeping in news of NFL players and preseason starting, the Bengals coach, Marvin Lewis, came out and said Vontaze Burfict is not playing tomorrow at all.
Their first preseason game?
Not playing at all. He said some of the starters, and which is, that's not just because starters aren't playing. That has to do with the fact that starters are playing as long as he says, until I take them out. Vontaze Burfict, nope. Not going anywhere near the field on Friday. So there you have it.
Okay, interesting. So we have some more news moving on here.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds making some headlines. Did you see about Barry Bonds?
I did. I was watching the game when it happened.
So he had a first time for Barry Bonds, which is obviously something you don't see very often, having such a prolific career with the Pirates and the Giants. But he was ejected for the first time as a coach just recently, ironically enough, against the Giants. So Bonds was really vocal about sort of the strike zone as a player, and the same thing happened as a coach. So he was ejected, arguing balls and strikes. Well, the hitting coach of the Marlins, Barry Bonds.
Okay, I mean, there you go. I mean,
I love
Barry Bonds, but
I thought that was funny. Like, why is Barry Bonds? That's something the manager should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
The base coaches. Why? Barry Bonds should not be doing. Like, you're the hitting coach. Just do your job. Sort of stay in the back of the clubhouse and keep quiet. Like, there's no reason for you to even be out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I get you. I'm with you. All right, moving on to my second. And as we talked about Prince Fielder on our last episode, Prince Fielder had very, very much a somber and sad, I would say for sure, press conference having to retire. But he did not, did not approach it completely sad. He did do one final prank in which he was known for his career, and that is touching Adrian Beltre's head.
That's one thing you do not do.
Adrian Beltre does not like when people touch his head. He gets all flustered and he starts waving his arms around. He does not like when people do it. Prince Fielder touched his head as he was walking into the press conference yesterday, and Adrian, in spite of his friend's attempt to fluster him in a sense, all he did was pull away this time. He gave him that one last one. Very nice to see.
He kept it easy one time for Prince.
He just pulled his head back. He said, "Come on, man, don't do that."
He probably whispered something to him. Was like, "Come on, really?
Can't believe you would do that.
Like, are you serious?
You gotta make me look like a joke."
All right, so anyways, I'll be moving into my last bit of info for what's trending. So today is going to be the release of the NBA regular season schedule.
Yes.
So it's going to be about 3 o'clock Pacific time, about 6 o'clock Eastern. We don't have any, it hasn't officially been released yet. We did announce on Tuesday of our What's Trending show that we will have a Christmas Day battle between the defending champion Cleveland Cavaliers and the Warriors from Golden State. They've been in the finals the last 2 years. So we're going to have that on Christmas. I believe the game is going to be in Cleveland. I said that they should have put the Warriors against the Thunder on Christmas, like Durant's return. Reports are is that game won't happen until February. But anyways, we're going to be having the schedule released today, so we're going to have an idea of what opening night's going to look like, who the Cavaliers are going to be opening against, unveiling that banner in Cleveland, that first night, Alex. That's going to be obviously a big moment for the city, for the team. I'm sure for LeBron James winning a championship for Cleveland, unveiling that banner, getting the rings. So we'll be finding out later today who that will be against and what day it will be.
Yeah, man, it's going to be pretty exciting for a city that hasn't had a major sports championship in a long time.
Over 50 years, 54 years to be exact.
There you go. All right, well, I have my last bit of trending news. And hey, remember you told me last episode that golf started today in the Olympics?
Yes.
Well, Justin Rose, who is playing, he is part of the team Great Britain, hit a hole-in-one on a par 3, fourth hole on Thursday, 189 yards, used a 7-iron, just drained it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The first Olympic hole-in-one in at least 112 years, because they haven't had golf in the Olympics since 1904.
Yes, exactly.
So one of the first, I don't know, we'll have to maybe look that up, Olympic hole-in-ones, but he's definitely going to be at least the first in anyone's lifetime around here. So.
For most of us, yeah. And yeah, Rose, he was 2013 U.S. Open champion. He's also ranked 12th in the world. Used a 7-iron, bounced that shot about 10 feet short, and it just rolled on in.
That's good for him. I mean, he's probably stealing the headlines.
He's on the leaderboard right now.
At least, along with the leaders. So, I mean, that's good for him. That's quite an accomplishment. I'm sure a lot of these guys have not played on this course in Brazil, really are not familiar with it. So, I don't know. Good shot, I guess. You got to tip his hat, and he'll be buying everyone drinks tonight, I guess.
I guess so, if they wanted to have drinks out there.
Yeah, for hitting... Well, there's probably alcohol and stuff you can get out there.
I'm not saying there's not. I'm saying if you want. Lots of people getting robbed out there, man.
That's true, too. I don't know if you really want to be out.
Exactly.
So,
all right,
I see what you're saying.
Thanks. Well, hey, we are out of time. And that means it's time to go. And that means it's time for you to visit us at Twitter and Instagram at the GSMC_sports podcast. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play at the same handle, Google. You can search it. It's going to be Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. You can find us on our website at gsmcpodcast.com. If you go on YouTube, you can comment. You can go on iTunes and subscribe and rate and leave a review. Excuse me. And you can always expect to hear us every week, Tuesday through Friday. Our wonderful shows will be here for you to hear, as well as Ben's baseball show and my football show and Ben and my soccer show. So always tune in for those. We love you. We appreciate you listening. As always, I am Alex.
I'm Ben.
And we will see you guys on Tuesday.
Yes, with everything that's in the world of sports that happened. So probably expect some more Olympic updates, preseason NFL, and everything else that is going on in the great world of sports.
Yeah, we can't wait to see you. We can't wait to talk to you. And as always, I'm Alex. This is Ben, and we will see you guys then.